Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. So, our listeners, whatever time of day you are watching and whatever time of day you will be watching the replay, you are welcome to Between the Lines podcast, where we talk about adolescence, parenting, and everything in between. This is our first episode for the year, and I guess it's not too late to wish you a happy new year. From all of us at Between the Lines podcast, I'm wishing you a happy new year. Our topic for today is growing up, expectations versus reality. I know that all of us who are adults, while we're growing up, we had expectations of what we're going to do when we become adults. But when reality sets in, we saw that, oh, it was different. We have our in the studio two adolescents, our guests for today, who are going to talk to us about their expectations about adulthood and, of course, how it is in reality. So, without wasting time, I'm going to bring up our guests to the studio, Daniel Uka and
And
Adibute Messi.
Adibute Messi.
Daniel, thank you for
Daniel,
joining
thank
me.
you for
Messi,
joining
thank
me.
you for
Messi,
joining
thank
me.
you for joining me.
Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Okay,
you're welcome. I'm going to
you're
start
welcome. I'm
with
going to
this
start with this
question.
question.
I know that while we were
I know that
young, we
while
could
we
not
were
wait to
young, we
grow
could
up.
not wait to grow.
So, what
So
were the
what
things
were
that you
the
could not
things
wait
that you
to
could
do
not wait to do
when you became an
when
or
you
when you
became
became an
when you
adult? When
become
you
an
were growing
adult?
up,
When
there
you
were
were growing up,
things
there
that
were
I
things
cannot wait
that
to become an
I know
adult.
to
I
become
want
an
to do this. I
adult.
want
I
to
want
do
to do
this.
this. I want to
So
do
what
this.
were those things
So
that
what
you
were
could
those
not
things that
wait
you
to
could not
become an
wait to
adult
become
to
an
do?
adult to do?
Daniel, do you want to go
Okay. Daniel,
first?
you want to go first? All right. So first of all, we'll start with appreciating you for this opportunity to talk about the differences or the difference in the reality from our expectations, growing up.
Yeah.
And so, well, one thing I could not, I miss other so many things I could not wait to grow up to do. One of the things was um having control of my finances. Yes, because back then when you were little, any money that comes to you, your parents would expect you to give it to them. Well, it might be different for some people, but for me, my parents were expecting me to give them, maybe an uncle gives you a gift, and they feel you will not be able to, you know how to spend it. So that was something I was waiting for earnestly. This type of share I go grow one day. And then that was that was something I was actually waiting for expectantly, that yes, when I become an adult or when I grow up, I will be able to take, charge of my money and
Of
all.
the
Yes.
finances. Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah, I
same
think
for
it's the
most
same for
people. I mean, our
most
parents
people. I
kept
mean,
our
our
money
parents kept
for us.
our
I was
money
like,
for us.
I
I was
cannot
like,
wait,
I
Jerry.
cannot
In
wait
fact, if I
that
should
way.
have
Yes,
calculated
I
the
should
amount that my
calculate all
mom
the
gets
amount
for
that
me, I
my
could
mom
have bought
gets
a
for me. I could
house.
have bought a house. Yes,
But
and they will never be accountable for that money. They will
they will
never be.
never,
They will
yes.
never. Yes.
Thank you very much for
Thank
that,
you very
Daniel.
much for
How
that,
about
Daniel.
you,
How
Messi?
about you, Messi?
Messi.
Messi.
Okay, our
Okay,
network.
our
Okay,
network.
Daniel, do you want to
Okay,
share
Daniel, do you
one
want
more
to share
thing?
one more thing? Okay, one more thing that I was waiting.
Up to,
Up
yes.
to, yes. Okay, so let me say this. This one is usually very common for youth and people who grow up in a very strict or with a very strict parent. They're always giving you a time, give you a time to come back. So don't go, don't go here, don't go here, don't go and play football, don't do this, don't do that. All these rules, sometimes they can be so tiring. And you always wonder, you always keep on thinking, reassuring yourself with the fact that one day you too will
One
become an
day,
adult and you will have
one day,
the
one day.
freedom to do all you want to do. So that's something I actually look forward to. Actually look
I
forward to
think, yeah,
because
I
there
can,
are sometimes, yeah,
yeah, go
there are
on.
sometimes when I was coming up, there was one experience I wanted to go for I think a program in the church. It was a program in the church, for God's sake. And my dad was like, "Oh, make sure you come back before 6 o'clock." And this program is starting by 5 and ending around 8, 9. But because, well, he's my dad, there's nothing I could do.
Your
So I
son
had
that
to
is
keep the
rich.
time. I had to ensure that I kept to time. So that thing alone made me to keep thinking, when will I have this
Same.
freedom of my own? So that was something I actually thought too, because when you become, you grow to a certain level, these restrictions keep dropping and dropping and
Mm-hmm.
dropping, and
Mm-hmm.
till you become a man of your own or a woman of your own, that your parents will not have any say or little say in many of your activities. So yeah.
True, true, true.
True,
I can
true, true.
relate with
I
that. In
can
my own
relate with
house,
that.
it's
In my own
7.
house, it's
Wherever
7.
you go to, you
Wherever
have to
you
be
go to,
back
you have
before
to be back
7. So I'll be
before
like, ah, maybe
7. So
one day I will
I
leave
mean,
your
one day I
house.
will leave
Don't
your
worry
house.
now. The
Don't
time
worry
is
now. The
coming.
time is coming.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you
Then
very much. Then. Thank
let's
you.
see.
Let's see.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma, can you hear you, ma?
Yes, ma. Can you hear me, ma?
Okay, all right. Kindly
Okay,
Yes, I
share
can
alright.
hear
one
you.
thing that
Yes, I
you're
can hear one thing
looking
that
up
you're
to
looking up
do when you become an
to do when
adult.
you become
Hmm?
an adult. Hmm?
Did you hear me?
Did you hear me?
No, no, I
No,
did not
no,
hear you.
I did
Sorry.
not hear
I
you.
said,
Sorry.
what
I
were the
said,
things that you
what were
could
the
not
things
wait
that you
to
could not
do
wait
when you
to
become an
do when you
adult?
become an adult?
Okay, when I
Okay,
was
when
much
I was
younger,
much
I
younger,
believed
I believed
adulthood was
adulthood
for,
was for,
adult freedom.
adult freedom.
You had a lot of
You had a lot of
big things to
big
do
things
what
to
you want to
do what you
do,
want to
nobody
do,
to question
nobody to
you,
question you,
no one to tell you
no
when
one
to
to
do
tell you when
something,
to
when
do
to
something,
sleep,
when to
when to wake
sleep,
up,
when to wake
you're
up,
on your own.
you're on your own.
But the
But
reality is
the
that
reality
it
is
comes with
that
a lot of
it comes with a lot of
responsibility.
responsibility.
You are able to,
You are
could
able
take
to, you
actions
could take actions
for every
for
things you
every
do. You take the
things you do. You take
consequences.
the
There's nobody to like
consequences.
to
There's nobody to
run
like to
to.
run to.
And
And
um
um,
I just like when I
I just
was
like
younger,
when I
just I
was
couldn't wait
younger,
to
just I
just
couldn't wait to
grow
just
up because I
grow up
believed
because I
adults was
believed
like for
adults was like
fun,
for
you
fun,
know,
you know,
nobody to be telling
nobody to be
you
telling you
anything to do.
anything to do.
Like you have arrived
Like
on
I know
your
you
own,
have
you're the
arrived on
big
your own,
girls
you're the
and big
big girls
boys.
and big boys.
So
So
it just
you
know what it
just
is
know
like
what
that.
it is like that.
Okay, thank you. I think one
Okay,
common
I
factor
think one
there is
common factor
freedom.
there
Like
is freedom.
everybody
Like
just wanted to be
everybody just
free.
wanted to be
I'll
free.
wake up when
I
I
will,
want
I'll wake up
to,
when I want
eat when
to,
I want
food
to,
when I
go
want
out when I
to,
want
go out
to,
when I
get
want
back in
to,
when I want
get
to,
back in
spend
when
my
I want
money
to,
how I
spend my
want
money
to.
how I
Like
want
we're
to.
just after
Like we're
that
just
freedom.
after that freedom.
Now there's this common saying
Now
that
there's
adulthood
this
na
common saying
scam.
that adulthood is scam.
Do you think adulthood na scam,
Do you
Daniel?
think adulthood is scam, Daniel? Well, personally, it depends. It depends on the angle you're coming from, but I think in its entirety. Well, the reason why people say adulthood is scam, or adulthood not scam, is because of expectations. The expectations they had towards or about adulthood. But when they grow up to become adults, they realize that this expectation they had is not what it is, or is not what they think it is. So with that, they can conclude. But I think if all of us come to this understanding of what adulthood means, the responsibilities that comes with it from an early age, when we understand that it's not just all about freedom alone, but
Freedom.
there are,
Mm.
responsibilities that come with it, I think we would deviate from that statement, because growing up you think the elders, the adults we have around have it all easy. It's as if life is very easy for them. They have the freedom they want, the resources they want. But when you come into their shoes, you begin to realize that it is not. It's entirely different from what you thought it is. So adulthood is calm for someone who did not prepare for adulthood. So that's my own take on that.
Is there a way we can
Is there a
prepare
way
for
we can
adulthood?
prepare for adulthood? Well, what I mean preparing for adulthood is, first of all, you need to understand what it is actually. For example, let me use the facts, let's say parenting. Parenting is a part of adulthood for most people, you know. So you need to understand the responsibilities that comes with parenting. So when you condition your mind that okay, this is what parenting is. It's not just all about having intimate relationship with your spouse. It's beyond that. When you understand that, you would know how to, you know will I say, attack it. you know how to attack it. So that would prepare your mind. It's just like trying to write an exam and you don't even know what the exam is all about. But if you have past questions of what was being done, it can give you an idea of, okay, so this exam can be this tough, this exam can be this easy, and it gives you, it tells you how much you need to prepare. So
Yeah.
I think the same principles applies with growing up too, because once you are growing up and you understand what is ahead of you, you would prepare well so that you will not become a victim and you start saying, I don't do this
I
scam.
don't think that's scam. That's very profound.
That's very
Thank you very much,
profound. Thank you
Daniel.
very much,
What
Daniel.
about you, Messi?
What
Do
about
you
you,
think
Miss? Do
adulthood
you
are
think
scam?
adulthood are scam?
Well, in my own
Well,
view
in
on
my
that,
own view
I
on
will
that,
go with it.
I'll
I'll
go
go
with
with
it.
Daniel.
I'll go with Daniel.
Preparing,
Preparing.
preparing is also a very
Preparing is also a
essential
very
key
essential key
because you cannot,
because you cannot,
they cannot like
they cannot like
see, you cannot
see, you
go
cannot
for something you don't
go
have
for
an
something
idea
you don't have
about.
an idea about.
And also to have
And
an open
also to
mind
have
for
an
something.
open mind
I'll be
for
open
something.
minded.
I'll be open
Once
minded.
you
Once you
plan, okay, I want to
plan,
be in,
okay, I
like you're
want to be
growing up,
in, like you're
have an
growing
open
up,
mind to
have an open
different
mind to
things
different
that is
things
happening. You
that
don't
is
just have to,
happening. You just
okay,
have
because
to,
people
okay,
say
because people
this is
say
how
this is how
things are
things
happening,
are
okay, this is how
happening. Okay,
adulthood,
this is
when you
how
hear from
adulthood
people,
when you hear
have
from
an open
people.
mind and
Have an
act to
open mind
learn
and act to learn
because there are
Okay.
lessons
because there are
you'll get.
lessons you'll get.
Open minds to
Open
learning,
mind
yeah,
to
because
learning,
things
yeah, because
change.
things
We
change.
cannot be
You
rigid.
cannot be
The
rigid.
most
The
constant thing is
most constant
change.
thing is
You know.
change.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much
yeah.
for
Thank you
that,
very much
Daniel
for
and
that.
Messi.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, so
ask this question. What are some
ask this
of the
question.
most significant
What are some
differences
of the most
between what we
significant
thought
differences
adulthood
between
would
what
be
you thought
and what it
adulthood
is
would
actually
be
like?
and what
That's
it
your
is actually
expectation.
like?
Maybe you just pick
That's your
an aspect of
expectation. Maybe
life,
you just
maybe
pick an aspect of
friendship
life,
or
maybe
academics or career.
friendship or
What
academic
was
or
your
career.
expectation and
What
what is your
was your
reality now?
expectation and what is your reality now?
Let me
Okay, I
ask.
think
Let me
Messi
say
should
this
go
following
first.
Let
one.
me ask, let
Sorry,
me
sorry.
say
Let me
this
just say this
following
one.
one.
I know when we're
Sorry,
younger,
sorry, let me
they
just say
ask
this
us, "What
following
do
one.
you
I
want
know
to
when we're
become when you
younger,
grow
they
up?"
ask
When I
us,
was
what do
saying,
you
"I
want
want
to
to be a
become when you
doctor."
grow up? When I was saying, I want to be a doctor.
But now that we have
Uh,
grown, what are
but now
we?
that we have grown,
Let me use
what are
myself
we?
as an example. When I
Let me
was
use myself
younger,
as an
if
example. When
they
I
asked
was
me
young,
that,
if
"What do you want to
they
be when
asked
you
me
grow up?"
that,
I'm an
what do you want to be
accountant.
when you grow up? An
An
accountant.
accountant. But
Oh,
now
wow.
I'm a
An
teacher.
accountant. But
I'm
now
proud.
I'm a
I'm
teacher.
happy
I'm
that
proud.
I'm a
I'm
teacher. But my
happy that I'm a
expectations,
teacher. But my
was that I'll become
expectations,
an accountant.
was that
But my
I'll become an
reality
accountant.
is that
But my
I'm a
reality
teacher.
is that
So
I'm a
what were your
teacher.
expectations
So
about
what were your
a
expectations
particular
about
aspect of life, and
a
what is
particular
your
aspect of
reality
life,
now
and
in that
what is your
aspect of life?
reality now in that aspect of life?
Okay, Messi should go first in this. Yeah.
Messi.
All right.
Message. All
Um,
right.
okay, when I
Um,
was much younger,
okay, when I was
it's
much
for my
younger,
like for my career,
it's for my
I
career.
wanted to be a
I
pilot.
wanted to be a pilot.
I was like, okay,
I
I've sounded
was
very
like,
nice,
okay,
sounded
I've
very
sounded very
cool,
nice, sounded
but
very
along the
cool.
line,
But along the line,
reality just
Nigeria
hits me.
happened.
Like
reality just didn't happen. Right?
you just have to just the
You
life
just
life
have
will
to
just show you
just,
one way.
the
Like it's
life,
not a
life will
straight
just show
line.
you one
It
way.
just
Like
show
it's
you
not a
another
straight
thing and
line.
just be
It
like,
just show
okay,
you another
let's
thing
go
and
for
just
this,
be
let's
like,
go for
okay,
this. It's not
let's go
also
for this,
like
let's go
bad or
for this. It's
something.
not also like bad or
Then
something.
we go for another one.
Then
Reality
we
is
go for
just,
another one.
when you expect,
Reality is
there's a lot
just,
of like,
when
when
you
you expect that,
expect, there's a lot of
when
like,
I
you
when you're
expect
young,
that
you're like, okay, I want this one, I
when
want
you're
this
young, you're
one.
like, okay,
But
I
when you
want
start
this one,
growing, you
I
start
want this
seeing that
one.
things are
And
not
when you
really
start
as
growing, you
it
start seeing
seems to
that
be.
things are not really as it seems to be.
So you just
I like the fact that you
fine
said
and
So you
life
blah.
is
just, I
not
like the fact that life is not a straight line.
that is very, very correct. Life is not a straight line.
That is
There
very,
are
very correct.
potholes,
Life
there
is
are
not a straight line.
different
There are
bends.
potholes, there are
That's true. Thank you very
different
much for sharing
things.
that. Daniel.
That's true. Thank you very much for sharing that, Daniel.
Yeah. And so let me add a little bit about this career thing she said. And this statement she made, that line is not like a very straight line. In life, it's not a very straight line. So, back then, I used to say, I went to school early, secondary school early, graduated around 15, 16. So, I would calculate, I would say, okay, so if I go to med school, I will spend 6 years, I will graduate at 21. I would, you know, graduate at 21. By 24, 25, I'll be married, I will have a house, I will have a car. These type of things that we always, we think once you just go out of school, everything is all
Yeah.
settled settled for you.
Yeah.
But the first reality will hit when you get out of school. And maybe for the first 1 year, second year, you're still looking for admission. And the funny part of the whole thing is you may not even get the course you want. So, this
True.
expectation that adulthood or growing up is simple, without stress, nothing, no roadblocks, no bumps ahead, it may not be entirely true. Some people may have all they need, you know, providence and fair unfair advantages that some people have, like in resources, may make life very smooth for them. But in reality, for many of the people, they tend to, not achieve some of the things they've planned to achieve. So for me, one thing my expectation for adulthood that I had when I was little was finances. I always say finances because then, and even still now, I still love to talk about money.
Money.
Well, you would think that with growth comes resources. You get, you would think that with growth comes resources, but that is not true in any single way. It is not true at all. If you don't take charge of your financial life, which is the realization I got when I grew up to a level, I realized that perception of money coming with age is wrong. But rather, if you don't take control of your financial life, you would not get the dividends of financial discipline. So that's what I realized as I grew up. So that is my own take on that.
Thank you very much for that. Now,
Thank
is
you
it
very
that? Can
much
you
for
hear
that.
me?
Now, this is can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Is it that the
Okay,
adult
okay.
while we
I
were
mean, see
growing
that
up, the adults that were
while we
seeing,
were
were they
growing
making
up,
it
the
seem
adults that
like
were staying, they didn't
adulthood
make
is
it
so
seem like
simple, adulthood is so
adulthood is so
easy?
simple,
Because for us to
adulthood is
have
so
that
easy.
expectation, it
Because
means
for
that
us to have
we're
that
seeing it that
expectation, it means that
these people are
we're
adults and they're
seeing it
having
that
life so
this is
easy,
for
so
adults and
simple.
they're
It was the
having
people
life
were
so
saying that was making
easy,
us
so
feel like
simple. The
adulthood
people
is
were
not so,
saying
it's not
that
so
was
hard,
making
it's
us
not
feel
so
like
bad.
adulthood is not too hard, it's not too bad.
What do you think?
Okay. Let
What
me
do you think?
yes, let me say something about this. A friend of mine used to say that we there's this popular quote that seeing is believing, but he said it's not entirely true. He said believing is seeing.
He's saying,
So
He's saying.
yes, so it's what you believe in that you see. I think the same thing applies to this question. As children, is what we want to see or is what we believe that we see.
that we
When maybe we
see
believe that
That he's saying.
yes, adulthood is easy, so we begin to see the things that makes it look like it's easy. We
easy.
forget to, because for
Easy.
example, our parents now, they wake up very early in the morning to wake us, they wake everyone up, hold morning devotions for many of us that are Christian families, morning devotions, they would prepare our things for us, all these things. You get, those are sacrifices that they were making, but we refuse to see them because we were looking at the easy part of life where they had money in their pocket to buy things.
True.
And we even used to think that they can buy whatever they want to without seeing the sacrifices they are making, without seeing the fact that instead of them buying their own dresses, their own clothes, they would rather save to pay your school fees, or they would rather save to buy food for the family. Those things we don't see them because we decide not to, because we believe that adulthood is simple. So even when it is glaring at us, we act as if we are blind to it. So for me, I think it's because as children, it's easy to be a child. So that was all we could
True.
see. And then yes, and another thing maybe is because of the way we grow up in African setting. The struggles that African parents go through, many of them hardly show it. They have been conditioned to, hide everything and shoulder the responsibility without sharing it or even showing it. So maybe because of that ability they had, we began to see that things were easy for them because they did not allow us to witness the hard part of things. So maybe that is why we got the notion that adulthood is
It's
simple or
easy.
easy.
It's
Mm,
easy.
And
profound. Wow.
what's
I
Profound.
kind of
Wow.
agree.
I can't
I
agree.
agree. Like you said,
I agree.
childhood is
Like you said,
easy. So we
childhood
might
is
be looking
easy.
at
So we might
adulthood
be
still
looking at
from that
adulthood still from
perspective of
that
easy
perspective of
childhood.
yeah,
And
easy
like our
childhood.
parents
yeah,
And I
don't
think our
really show
parents
us the
don't
hard
really
part. They
show
don't
us
show us
the
the
hard
part where
part.
they
They
are
don't show us the
struggling.
parts where they are
It's the
struggling.
reward that we will
It's the
enjoy. We do
reward
not
that
see
we
the
will enjoy.
effort.
It's not the
We feel,
effort.
oh, adulthood
We
is
yes,
going
feel,
to be
oh,
like
adulthood
that
is going to
too.
be like that too.
Thank you very much.
that's
Thank you very much.
Messi,
Messi,
you want to add to that?
you want to add to that?
All right. My
All
view
right.
on this
My view on
is
this
yes,
is
I would like to add
yes,
that
I would like to add
normally
that
humans are
normally humans are
conditioned to see only the
conditioned to
good
see
parts.
only the good parts.
Just like when
Just
you
like
just see people on
when you
social
just see
media,
people on
you
social
get to only see
media,
okay
you
the
get to only
glamorous
see okay
side,
the
the
glamorous
beautiful
side, the
sides. They don't
beautiful
really
sides.
show the
They don't
bad
really
side, like
show
behind the
the bad
scenes,
side, like
what
behind
they
the
go
scene,
through to
what
get
they
through
go
some
through
things.
to get through some
So that's
things.
how we were like,
So
okay,
that's how
looking,
we
oh,
were
our
like,
parents,
okay,
they
looking,
get
oh,
to
our
buy
parents,
this thing
they
for
get to
us.
buy
Oh, you
these
just see
things
this
for
elderly
us.
person, you
Or you
get to
just see
buy
this other
things,
person,
and
you just
you're
buy
like, oh,
things,
okay,
and
you
you're
just
like,
your
oh,
small money
okay,
that you have or
you just
something
your
like that.
small money that
There's
you
it.
have or something
So
like that.
we
There is
growing up,
so
we just
we
get to only
growing
see
up,
the
we just get
good
to only
sides
see the
and believe,
good
okay, when
sides
I grow
and
older,
believe,
I'll be able
okay,
to
when
do
I grow older, I'll
everything
be able
like
to
that.
do
Just the same thing
everything like
without
that.
knowing
Just
about
the
the
same thing without
sacrifice, knowing
knowing
about the
about the sacrifice,
responsibility
knowing
that
about
comes
the
with it.
responsibility
So
that comes with it.
that's
So
just how
that's
adulthood is.
that was
Thank
how
you.
adulthood
Thank
is.
you.
Thank
And the
you,
funny thing is
thank
that
you. And
nobody
the
will
funny
tell
thing is
you.
that
You just
nobody will
realize
tell
it
you.
yourself
You
that
just realize
this is
it yourself
responsibility.
that
of
this is
course.
responsibility.
Now, speaking of
Ah,
social
nobody will
media,
tell
then
you.
Messi.
Looking at nobody will tell you
What role do
Messi.
you think social media has played
What
in
role do you
shaping your
think social media
expectations
has
about
played in
adulthood?
shaping your expectations about adulthood?
Like you said, people post the good parts, and many of us are on social
Okay.
Like
media,
say
whether we
people
like it or
post
not,
the
one way
good
or the other, we
parts,
are being
and many of
influenced
us on
by
social
social
media,
media.
whether we
So,
like
what
it or
role do
not,
you
one way
think
or
it
the
has
other, we are
played
being
in shaping your
influenced by social
expectations
media. So, what
about
role do you think it
adulthood?
has played in shaping your expectations about adulthood?
Well, I can say for most people, especially growing up, it makes adulthood look very easy. Not just adulthood alone, life in general. If you
Yeah.
want to base your
Yeah.
foundation on what you see on the internet space, you would think you would think everybody is getting it at a platter of gold.
Mhm.
But the truth is, there's especially for most people, there's a lot of sacrifices going down. Even to shoot a basic skit, it takes a lot of work. And I can even say it even took you a lot of work for you to host this podcast. So, but people who are watching right now will just be seeing what we are saying. We will only be seeing the front end, but they did not know what went down in the back end. You get so then social media in general, makes life seem very easy, which is not entirely true. Yeah.
Thank you. There's a friend
Thank
of
you.
mine usually calls
A
social
friend of
media
mine usually
fake
calls social
lives.
media fake
Like you should
lives.
not believe
Like you
whatever
should
it
not
is you
believe
see on
whatever it is you
social media.
hear
It
on
is what we
social media.
want
It
you to
is what
see
we want
that
you
we
to
see.
see that we
Of
see.
course, we
Yes,
cannot
of
show you
Of
our
course.
course,
bad
we cannot
parts
show you
now.
our bad parts now.
Yeah,
So if
that's
as
what.
or
As
adolescents who are growing up,
adolescents who are
do not
growing
take what
up,
we see on
do
social
not
media
take
as
what we
this
see on
is
social
life.
media.
I want to
This
be
is
like
life.
this. I want
I
to be
want to
like
be
this.
like this.
If
I
you
want
don't
to
know
be
what is going on at the
like
back
this.
end, like you have
If you
said,
don't
that
know what is going on
it's
at the
only
back end,
the
like you have
results
said,
that
that
we are seeing.
it's
We do not
only
see
the
the
results that we are
effort
seeing. We do
behind.
not see the
All right,
effort
Messi,
behind. And
over to
let's
you.
see. Over to you.
Okay, social media
Okay,
as
social
it's
media
like a tool and
has
an instrument
it's
in
like a
using
tool and
passing message to
instrument
people.
in using passing message to people.
So there are a lot of messages they
So there
pass.
are a
They
lot of
just,
messages
you
they
see
pass. They
people
just,
come
you
online,
see
you see
people
them, you'll
come
be like,
online,
oh, I
you
wish my
see them,
life is like
you'll be like,
this.
oh, I wish my life is like
This person life
this.
looks like very,
This person
very
life looks like
cool.
very, very
This person is very
full.
rich or
This
something like
person
that. But you
is
don't
very
know
rich or something
what
like
the
that. But
person
you
has
don't
done
know
behind the back. You
what
don't
the
even
person
know
has
if the
done behind
person
back. You
got
don't even know
everything
if the
just
person
rented
got
for
everything just
that
rented
moment or
for that moment or for that.
for just so
You're
you
just
just
you
have
to
to
you just have to
it has shaped in the way
it's
people
as
see
shaped in the way people
adulthood
see
actually.
adulthood actually.
Or in reality, it doesn't
So
really.
in reality,
That's
it
not how
doesn't
it
really.
works.
That's not how it works.
As they say, don't
So
believe anything you
As they
see
say, don't
online.
believe everything you see
yes.
online. Yes.
So would you say that for most people,
So would you
their
say that for
expectations
most
about
people,
adulthood
the
is
expectations
different from
about
the reality?
adulthood is different from the reality?
Sorry.
I said, would you say that for
Sorry?
most people,
Yes.
their
So would you say that
expectations
for
about
most people, their
adulthood is
expectations about
100% of
adulthood
the
is
time different from the
100% of
reality?
the time different from the reality?
Yes, for most people, yes, of course. For most people, yes. But there are the few people who either maybe due to the environment they grew up in have been made to, they have been conditioned or have been trained to understand, the cost that comes with growing up. So, which can be probably due to the influence of quality parenting. So some persons got to understand what it takes for them to be an adult, and they began to prepare. But for most people, yes, their expectations their expectations are far, just like what you ordered versus what you got. So
This is what I
what they
got.
ordered was
What I
far
got.
higher than what they got.
Wow. I mean, that's
Wow.
life.
I mean,
That's
that's
adulthood.
life.
Thank
That's
you.
adulthood.
What about you,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mercy?
What about you,
Do you believe
Messi?
that for most people,
Do you believe that
expectations
for
about
most people,
adulthood is
expectations
different
about
from the
adulthood is different
reality?
from the reality?
Well, it
Well,
I would say I'm a living testimony
I would say
for
I'm a living
that.
testimony for that.
My expectations
My
probably in
expectations
adulthood, what
in
I was expected
Ferrari
to
adulthood,
see,
what I was
was
expected
not
to
what I
see,
actually
was
met.
not what I actually meant.
So I just have to
So
like rough it
I
through
just have
and
to like rough it through and
find one way that to patch it,
find one
and
way that to
it's
patch it,
always
and
far, far away from
it's always far,
reality.
far away from reality.
What I ordered was what I
What
got.
that was what I got.
Okay, so what are some
Okay,
things
so
you
what
wish you
are
had
some things
known
you
or
wish you had
prepared for
known or
before
prepared
becoming
for
an adult?
before becoming
What are
an
those,
adult?
those things that you wish
But those
someone had
things that you
told
wish
you that
someone had
this is
told
what
you that this
adulthood
is
is
what
like? Oh, prepare
adulthood
for
is
this,
like.
prepare
Oh,
for
prepare
this,
for
prepare
this,
for
prepare for
this.
this, prepare
What are
for
those things
this.
you wish you had
What are those
known
things
before
you wish they
becoming
had
an
known
adult?
before becoming an adult?
Daniel.
Okay.
Daniel.
Well, so many things, so many things. But one thing I would have, well, I think I've heard it. But one thing I wish I had paid more attention to, it's time, how well we use our time.
Fine.
Because when you grow, that is one of the things that's one of the most regret of most people, how they utilize their time.
Mm,
And even if we are still young, we would still make some of these mistakes. But one of the things we would have, personally for me, one of the things I wish I had done more is make quality use of the time. Back then in secondary school, you'll be having you had we had time, but the when I say the vibes, let me say the vibes of secondary school and all, you would use them for other stuff instead of you focusing, instead of you utilizing that time with all the energy you have. You would think that, oh, now is the time for me to chill. Now is the time for me to. But the truth is, you're not actually wasting time. You're actually wasting your life because
life.
time,
Mm,
Nice.
yes, because your life is actually your time and the
time.
amount of thing you spend, you get. So that's it, time, or how well you spend
Time.
that time.
Time.
Time
Time
management.
management.
Time management, of course, yeah.
Thank you very much. What
Thank
about
you
you,
very much.
Messi?
What about
What's
you,
one thing you
Messi?
wish you
What's
had
one thing
known
you wish you had known
before becoming an
before
adult?
becoming an adult?
My one
Oh,
is,
my goodness.
you know, you
You
cannot be
know, you
perfect,
cannot be perfect,
and you're allowed to make
and you're
mistakes.
allowed to
So
make
sometimes
mistakes. Sometimes
you believe that,
you
oh,
believe that,
okay, because
okay, because
this person is
this
perfect, this
person is
person you're trying to
perfect, this
compare
person you're
yourself
trying to
with
compare
is
yourself
doing
with
things
is doing
perfectly.
things
You now be
perfectly.
like, okay, try
You
to
now
work
like,
towards
okay,
it.
try to
You
work
can make
towards it. You
mistakes,
can
and
make
you should always
mistakes and
learn
chose learn
from the mistakes we
from the
make,
mistakes we make.
because that's just
Because
adulthood.
that was
It's just like
adulthood.
it's a
It's just like
continuous
it's a
process. They say
continuous process. It's a
learning happens every
learning
day. You
happens
learn
every
every
day.
day.
You learn every day.
So
So
anytime you do something,
anytime
try
you do
to always
something, try
learn
to
so
always
that you
learn
keep
so that you
going, you
keep
keep
going,
moving
you keep
forward.
moving forward.
Mm, thank you very
Mm,
much.
thank you
You are
very much.
lifelong learners.
You
The
are
moment you
lifelong
stop learning,
learners.
it
The
means that
moment
you
you
are
stop
dead.
learning means that you are dead.
But I think that
But I
even
think
if they are
that
told us
even
while
if they
they
are
are
told us
adolescents,
while
we will
they are
not want to
adolescents,
believe.
we will not want to believe.
Yes, yes, of
Because what we
course.
are
Yeah,
seeing is
Because
that
we are
you have
seeing
had
is
us that
that
you
you
see
have
this.
had
So
us
we don't
like
want to believe
this, so
that
we
this
don't
thing
want
they
to
are saying
believe
is
that this
true.
is that thing is true.
It takes a lot of discipline for you to listen to such advice and
Yeah.
apply it.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of
Yeah.
discipline.
Yeah. I mean, but now we can see
Honestly.
the
Yeah. I mean,
reality.
but now we can see the reality.
Of course, of course. Of course.
All right. So I would like you
Alright,
just
so
to share
I would like
another
you just to
aspect of
share
life
another
about the
aspect of life
expectations
about the
and
expectation
reality.
and reality.
Okay. Another aspect of life. So, which aspect of life do I talk about now? Okay. So, she's spoken about career, and I've spoken about finances. Okay. So, let's say spiritual life. Let me talk about that spiritual life now. For me, as a Christian, you know, you think that all these things you apply based on same principle. You thinking you would have it
Okay. I think
easy.
that was my
I
network.
think that was my
Can you
network.
hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Yes.
yes,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So you
We
asked
can
a
hear
question
you.
Okay, we
about
can
an
hear
aspect of
you.
our life that another
Another
aspect of our life
aspect
has
Another
been
aspect
of life,
spoken
yeah, your
about.
of life,
expectation
yeah, your
versus
expectation
reality.
versus reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was talking about another aspect that as a Christian, your spiritual life is something you would think that as you grow, you also grow in your spiritual life. But the problem or the realization you get to that will hit you is that your physical growth is not necessarily the same as your spiritual
As a
growth.
spiritual.
As a spiritual.
Yes. So the way you have to eat, the way you have to exercise, the way you have to do the things that will make you to grow healthy. Same principles applies to your spiritual growth and even your personal development too. So when you grow to a level, you would understand that, oh, this expectation I had, you know, if you are from a Pentecostal church or all this firebrand, you would think some of these things you see, let's say like miracles, the ability to heal, stuff like that, you would think it's it comes with age, but it's not true. It's not true at all. You have to put so much effort into growing in that aspect of your life.
Hmm. Should
Yeah.
I think another
Should I think another
point on that aspect
point on
is
that
while we are
aspect
growing
is
up,
while we are
our
growing up, our
spiritual covering depending
spiritual
on our
covering
parents.
depending on our
We're
parents.
under them
Yes.
for
Like
the
we're under them for
responsible.
the
But the moment you
responsible. But
become
the
an
moment
adult,
you
the
become an adult, there is
responsibility,
the spirit,
you know.
you know.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you
Let's
for
see.
that. Let's see.
What other aspects
Yeah.
of
What
And
life?
another
another
aspect,
aspect.
growing up is not just
Growing up is
only
not
about
just
physical
about physical
or
or
about mental
about
and your
mental,
mental and
your
emotional
mental
state.
and emotional state.
So as you
So
are like
as
as
you
you're
are
advancing in
as you're
life,
advancing in
you should
life,
be able
you should
to
be able
like your
to
mental
like your
capability of
mental
some things,
capability of some
how you
things,
can
how you
interpret
can
things to
interpret
people
things to
and to
people
yourself,
and to
and your
yourself
emotional
and
state
your
too, how
emotional
you can
state
also,
too. How you can also
just know how to
just know
stabilize
how
yourself,
to
know how to,
stabilize
okay,
yourself,
because
know how to
everything cannot
because
just
everything
happen.
cannot just happen.
This life is not a platter of
This life
food.
is not a
You have
part
to
of food.
work for
You have to
everything.
work for
So
everything.
there's
So
sometimes maybe your
sometimes
expectation
when
is
your
not met.
expectation is not
You just
met,
have to,
just have
you
to,
know, know how to, you don't have to like stop
you don't have
yourself
to
from
like
one place
stop
and be like,
yourself from
oh,
one place
okay,
and be like, oh,
because
okay,
this thing didn't work
because
up,
this
this
thing
thing
didn't
didn't
work
work
up,
out
this
for
thing
me.
didn't work out
Let
for
me
me.
just
Let me
stop
just
or give up.
stop or give up.
So another
So
aspect of your life is
another
your mental
aspect of
and
your life is
emotional
your mental
state
and emotional state
was advanced.
was advanced.
Thank you. Let me ask this
Yeah.
Thank you.
question
Let me
based
ask
on
this
what
question based on what
you also had something
you also
too.
have something
Yes, I
to
want to add something. There's this popular quote that I don't know. Some elders around us used to use it a lot back then. They'll tell you what an elder can see sitting down. As a
Yeah.
child, you can't see it standing on a tree. Well, the proverb is well meaning, not to have any adverse effect. But if you're not very careful, you begin to think that wisdom comes with age.
With age.
And
age.
yes, you think wisdom comes with age or wisdom comes with experience. But the truth is, a person can be experiencing something or might have an experience and will not even learn from it.
From it,
And
true.
For me, it's true.
that thing can keep on happening and happening and happening to the person. But even as a child, something happens to you and you learn from it, or you can, let's say, get wisdom that even the elders do not have. Let's say, for example, now in tech, in our world now, a lot of youths are, more vast with the tech world more than our elders. So, such wisdom
Yeah.
don't come with
Yeah.
age. It comes with experience. It comes with doing it. You get. So that's
True, true,
something there.
true.
True, true,
Okay,
true.
thank
Okay,
you. Thank you for
thank
that.
you. Thank
That's
you for that.
very correct,
That's very correct,
actually.
actually.
I want to
I want
build
to
on what
build on what
Mercy has said and
Messi
ask
has
this
said and
question.
ask
At
this
what
question. At
point
what point
did you realize that,
did you realize
wait,
that
oh, I'm
wait,
now an
so
adult?
I'm now an adult?
Like, was there a
Like, was
scenario
there a
that,
scenario that,
excuse me, that made you
excuse
realize
me, that
that,
made you realize that
I am now an
I am
adult, I'm
now
now
an
in charge
adult?
of
I'm
my
now in
life?
charge of my life.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it
Was there
was
any
when
I
I
think
scenario?
it
got
was when I got
admission
admission
to the
to
university.
the university.
So
So
normally,
normally,
my my
my
mom, no, my
my mom,
sister
no,
followed
my
me
sister
the
followed me
first time I got
the
to
first
school.
time I got to school.
So I was
So
like, will
I
you
was like,
guys leave me
will you
here
guys
or
leave me
something?
here or
Will you stay
something?
one night
You
with
stay
me?
one night with me
Or just the
or
meantime
just
before I go
meantime
back?
before I go
She
back?
said, you stay on your
She
own,
said,
you
you
stay on
stay
your
on your
own.
own, you
She
stay on your
left.
own. She
I
left.
said, no
Hey,
problem, no
no
problem.
problem, nah, no
I was
problem.
like, okay,
I
I
was
can do
like,
this, I
okay,
can
I
do
can do
this.
this,
I
I can
stayed
do
the
this.
first
I
night. I
stayed
was
the
say,
first night. I was like,
okay.
okay.
Second day, I called my dad
Second day, I
already
called
that,
my dad already
how
that
is everybody at
how
home?
is
I was just
everybody
trying
at
to like,
home? I was just
okay.
trying to like, okay.
I was trying to
I was
adjust
trying
to
to
see,
adjust
okay,
to see,
maybe they're
okay,
still going to
maybe
come
they're
back or
still going to
something.
come back or something.
That kind of thing.
I was,
I was,
So that was,
so that was time on.
I no more a,
I don't know
I no more a small
I don't
girl
know it's
again.
not
No,
getting
you're
again
already
though.
an
Already
adult.
an
You're going by
adult.
yourself.
I'm going by yourself.
Myself normally,
Myself
they're
normally.
supposed to follow
They're
me.
supposed to
Let
follow
me go by
me.
myself.
Tell me
If
myself, please.
I already like,
I
okay,
already
I
like,
think
okay,
adulthood has
think
already set
I
in
don't
for
feel
me.
like setting for me.
I don't think that's
I don't
calm.
think
You're
that's
not
calm. You're
responsible
not
for yourself.
responsible for yourself.
Thank you very much. I can
Thank you very
relate
much.
to
I
that.
can
Thank
relate
you
to
so
that.
much.
Thank you so
Daniel, what
much.
about you?
Daniel, what about you?
Well, I can say my realization came in two phases of my life. The first time was when I got into boarding school, where I had to take responsibility for a good number of things. You get, your parents are no longer there to monitor your day-to-day life. You are in charge of taking care of yourself, taking your bed, washing your clothes. Nobody's there to shout at you, oh, Daniel, go and do this, come and do this, come and do this. You get. And then the second realization hit me when I graduated from secondary school. I stayed at home for like I think 2 3 years after secondary school. So that experience, oh my god, I began to see what life truly was. That life was not secondary school vibes. Even if you are still in secondary school, your parents still have a degree of care for you. And
Yeah.
but when you graduate, at that point where you're not in school and you're not actively engaged with so many things, you would have to start taking responsibilities for a lot of things. For example, you would ask them for money for airtime and they will refuse. And at that point, you know that, oh my God, I have to find this money myself.
Yeah, your
So that
own.
was, yes. So I began to see that more, I need to take charge. And that was like the beginning process.
Wow.
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 Okay. We
Okay.
talked about
We talked about
parents not
parents
showing
not showing
the struggles
the
with their children,
struggles
not
to their
showing the
children, not
effort.
showing the
Would you
effort.
advise
Would you
that they let the
advise that
children
they let the
see
children
their
see
effort? They let
their
the children
effort? They let
see
the
the
children
struggle
see
so that
the
they will
struggle so that
understand
they
that
will
life is
understand
not
that life is
bearable.
not bearable.
Oh, they feel that
Oh,
it's
they
just
feel
things
that
like that. Let
it's
the
just
children
things
have
that
the
let the
fantasy
children have
of
the fantasy
adult
of
is
adult
easy, it's
is
simple.
easy, is simple.
Okay, about that, for me, I think if our parents would have been able to communicate some of their pains to us in the right way, we may not be able to understand at some point. But I think if properly communicated, we can get some of the stuff going with them. But for me, I will always advise, and I'm even trying to build that habit because in the future, when I become a parent, I want to be a very good parent as much as I can. So I want my child to understand what is ahead of them. So I will try my best as possible to also share what they need to know. So, well, maybe for our parents, what they shared with us was what they think we need to know. But I think there
Yeah,
is
true.
more.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there are some things they could have shared with us more that would have made it easier for us to understand what is ahead. Maybe their struggles, with some of the things that they are facing, it would have made us understood the whole picture. But I think it's always better if parents actually do open up, you know. But that makes
Okay.
them vulnerable, and which is not accepted in
Exactly.
Nigerian society.
Exactly.
It makes them vulnerable. And nobody wants to be vulnerable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so even if
Okay,
they
so even
fear,
if
do
they
you think
fear,
we
do you
have the
think we
mental
have the
capacity to
mental capacity to
understand? There are
understand?
some things
There
that
are
you
some
may
things
not
that you
understand
may not
until
understand
you are in it.
until you are in it.
So if
So
our parents will sit
if
us
our
down
parents
and
will
tell
sit
us
us
that this
down
is
and
what it
tell us
costs
that
for
this
you
is what
to
it
provide
costs
your
for you
school
to
fees, this is
provide
what,
your
do you
school
think
fees,
they're
this
going
is
to
what, do you
understand,
think
or do
they're
you
going
think
to
that this
understand,
man
or
is
do you
just
think that this man is
lying to us?
just lying
Do you
to
think we
us?
have the
Do you
mental
think we have the
ability to
mental
understand that
ability to
this is what
understand
our
that
parents
this
are
is what
going
our
through to put
parents are
food on
going
the
to
table
put food on
or
the
to take care
table
of
or
us?
to take care of us?
I think we would be able to, because, well, depends, because the truth is you can't be telling a 2-year-old child that I'm going through a lot. The child will not understand, because their mental faculties
Obviously.
their mental faculties have not been developed to understand that. All they know is that they need to eat and play.
Yes.
That's all they know. But you get to a point where maybe your 15-year-old child, I think he has gotten some level of maturity to understand what you are going through. And if, let's say, you tell your 15-year-old child that this is what it took for me to provide your school fees, and I would appreciate if you maintain or you maximize it. I think it will be better, even if the child might not grasp it, but at least he will have an idea and say, okay, this is the pain, the struggle my parents went through. Rather than, let's say, I get, for example, going to a boarding school. Most people, they hardly take care of their stuff, and they hardly manage their food stuff, their provisions. You get. So, for example, if you had made it clear that, oh, this is what I went through, and this is what it took me to provide this for you, and I had to do this because I love you, and I also appreciate if you would maximize this. I think there will be a part of that child's heart that would understand with you, even if the person might not understand. But even if he's not being careful, that there's this guilt that'll be pricking him or her. Oh, this thing I'm doing, I am not supposed to be doing it, because they now have that understanding, and it becomes a burden to them. So I think at some point in life, a child will be able to. Yeah.
True, true. And with
True,
that, the
true.
child
And
begins
with
to
that, the
learn
child begins to learn
responsibility.
responsibility.
And
Yes, yes.
he or she's getting
Yes,
prepared
he's
for
getting
adulthood
prepared for
too.
adulthood too.
Okay, thank you for
Okay,
that.
thank you
Let's
for
see.
that.
So, do you
Let's
agree
see.
with
So, do you
Daniel, or you
agree with
have a
Daniel?
different
You
opinion?
have
Do you
a
think
different
parents
opinion.
should
You
show
think
their children
parents should
what they
show
are going
their
through, the
children what they are
sacrifices
going
they are
through, the
making
sacrifices
to
they are
put food
making
on the table?
to put food on the table?
Yes, I agree with
Yes, I
you
agree
because
with you, because
this world everybody is
this
already,
world everybody's already,
like things already. It's not
like
like as
things already,
before.
it's not like
Things are
as
already
before. Things
upgrading.
are
There are a lot
already
of things that are
upgrading. There are a
happening
lot of
that
things that are
you even
happening
ask
that
some
you even ask
some children some
some
things. They already know
children
some
some
things at a
things. They
very
already
tender
know some
age.
things at the very tender age.
So I feel parents
So I
should
feel
try to
parents
tell their
should try
parents, them
to
try to
tell
tell
their
our
parents
children
and try to tell their children
what they go through to
what
get
they
some
go through
things.
to get
Because
some
some
things.
children, if
Because
you like, you don't
some
even have,
children,
they will
if
not
you
even
like,
have
you
an
don't even
idea.
have, they will
They
not
will be
even
like,
have
oh,
an
my mom is
idea.
going to get me
They will
this
be
one,
like,
even
oh,
though
my mom's
it's
going to get
sports
me
or
this one,
something.
even though
But
it's
once you
sports or
tell them
something.
that, oh,
But
okay,
once you
I
tell
did
them
this
that,
to get
okay,
this,
I did this to
or
get
like, the
this,
sacrifice,
or
try telling
like,
them your
the sacrifice,
stories.
try
Let
telling
them
them your
just, okay,
stories.
they might not
Let them just,
understand. They might
okay,
just be
they
like,
might
okay,
not
I'm just trying to
understand, they
tell
might just
them.
be like,
But
okay, I'm
there'll be
just trying
one
to
time
tell
they'll be
them.
thinking about it
But
and
there'll
they'll
be
be
one
like,
time they'll be
oh,
thinking
okay, my
about
mom
it
once
and they'll
said
be like,
this.
oh,
My mom
okay,
once
my
said
mom
this
once said
about this.
this.
My dad once said
My
this
mom once
about
said
it.
this about this.
So
My dad
telling
once said this
them
about it.
things
So
that
telling
someone go
them
through
things that
is
someone go
is
through
a very good idea for children.
is a very good idea for
Thank
children.
you. Thank you very
Okay.
much. At least you're
Thank
teaching them
you very much. At
responsibility
least I'm
at
taking
an early age. When they
responsibility at
become
an
adults,
early
it's not
age.
come
When
as
they
a
become
surprise. It's
adults,
not
it's
come
not
as a
come as a
shock
surprise. It's
to
not
them
come
that
as a
what's
shock
this, because
to them
they
that
already have
what
an
is because they already
idea,
have an
what it
idea,
is to
what it
provide.
is
Thank
to
you very
provide.
much. It's
Thank
been
you
an
very much.
interesting
It's been
session
an
with you,
interesting
Daniel and
session with
Mercy.
you,
I have
Daniel
just
and
one
Leslie.
final
I have
question
just one
before
final
we call
question
it a
before
day.
we
And the
call it
question
a day.
is, what
And the question
advice would you
is,
give
what
to the
advice
younger
would you
ones?
give to the
Those
younger
ones who are
ones?
still having
Those ones who are
expectations
still
of what
having
the
expectations of
adulthood
what
would be. Those ones who still have
adulthood
the
would be. Those
fantasy
ones
that
who still have the fantasy
adulthood is
that
simple, it's
adulthood is
fine.
simple,
They
it's
cannot wait to
fine.
have their
They
freedom.
cannot wait to have their
What
freedom.
advice do
What
you have for
advice
them?
do you have for them?
Well, I am still in the process of adulthood. Yes, I don't know. According to the constitution, from 18 and above, you become an
And
adult, right?
I'm,
So let's say
yeah.
constitutionally, of course, we are adults, but adulthood doesn't end. It's a process. It's a process. So, well, I will say, it is not. I would advise. Let me advise them now that please, you should not fantasize about adulthood thinking it is all rosy. You need to understand that it is not all rosy. There are times where you will face challenges that you've never thought of. But the truth is, with what you've learned in the process, you would be able to scale through. And this is why where it becomes important for every youth, every young one watching this today to take advantage of the learning process. Growing up, you should ensure you are learning from everything. Learn from your parents, learn from your environment. Because the truth is, your environment is always telling a story. What is happening around you is always telling a story. And if you are conscious about learning, you'll be able to prepare your mind. You get, and let me also add this. Some of the principles, some of the skills that are vital for life are not just for adults alone. Example, I say that we always talk about finances. Financial discipline is not only for adults alone. It's not only for adults. So as a child, if you can learn how to manage your finances, it will help you a lot, because the ability to be disciplined financially is not going to come from thin air. It's something you will learn. And as a child, it's going to be easier for you to learn. Let's say the 5,000, the 10,000, the 1,000, the 500 naira you are getting, if you can diligently learn how to work your way around it. In the future, when bigger sum of money begins to enter your hand, that discipline that you've learned from little will come to play. But if you are frivolous, you don't know how to keep money, that habit will stick to you regardless. Adulthood is not going to change it. Adulthood is not going to remove that character flaw. So you should take the time right now to build yourself. And this whole idea of when I grow, when I let me enjoy life now. Secondary school students usually say this. Let me enjoy life now. When I get to the university, I will become serious with my books. The truth is, whatever you are doing now would grow with you, would follow you. For example, you don't have a study habit as a student. You don't know how to study. You don't know how to read. You can't read for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. If you go to the university, it's not going to change all of a sudden. You
Change.
still have to pay the price to learn. To learn, yes, of course. You still have to pay the price to learn. And if you don't pay that price, that character flaw would always follow you. So adulthood is not when I say, I don't know, something's trending about Melly right now. Adulthood is not magic. Your life is not going to change or turn around all of a sudden. You would have to put in the work. So in summary, my advice is, as someone who's coming up, put in the work and you will see the dividend of that which you've done in the nearest future. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Adulthood is not a bed of roses. You're not, as children, you're not too young to start putting in the work, because, like I said, change will not happen overnight. It will not happen overnight.
Yes.
It takes time. It takes time, and if you don't start, you cannot see the change. Thank you very much for that, Daniel. What about you, Nancy? What advice do you have for the younger ones?
Okay, what I have to say is everyone is running a race, and that is life. We're just all running it in a different way. So wherever you are, don't rush. Just enjoy the moment you are. Try to, pick up every lesson you get from your experience, because it's still going to, one way or the other, it's going to come useful for you. Anything you are trying to learn now, anything you are trying to correct now, try to see other people's experience. Okay, this person did this, and this is what happened to the person. Try to, okay, next time, so you don't do that same mistake. So just enjoy every moment. I think everybody's going to grow. Just enjoy it.
Thank you. Enjoy the moment. So
Thank you.
don't rush
Enjoy
to
the
become
moment. So
an
don't
adult.
rush to
So
become an adult. So
you will get there. So just
if you
enjoy
get
where you
there,
are
so
now
just
and
enjoy where
learn.
you
Like
are
you
now.
said,
And learn, like
learn
you
from
said,
people's
learn
experiences.
from
You don't
people's
have to make the
experiences. You
mistake
don't
that
have to
someone else
make the
has
mistake
made.
that someone
You
else has
learn from
made.
people's
You learn
experiences.
from
Thank
people's
you very
experiences.
much,
Thank you very
Daniel. And let's
much,
You're
have
welcome,
Daniel.
ma.
another amazing session
Amazing
with
session
you.
with you.
Um,
Um,
Thank you so much. We have come
Thank
to
you so
the
much.
end
We have
of
come to
today's
the end
session.
of
I'll be
today's
taking our
session. I'll be
guests
taking our
backstage
guests
now.
backstage now.
Sorry. Yeah, we have come to the end of today's session, growing up expectations versus reality. And it was very interesting. It was very insightful. To the younger ones, they've advised you to just take your time, learn everything that you can learn because it will be needed when you become adults and even generally in life. All right. To our audience, thank you for staying up to this time. I really, really appreciate you. I'll see you in the next episode of Between the Lines podcast, which is coming up, of course, 2 Saturdays from now. Until then, I remain your host, Folakemi Abiodun. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.